Great.
Okay. We're missing a couple folks. Is anybody out in the back? Will? Is anybody out in the...
Here's yours.
Awesome.
Getting your steps.
Okay. 51.
Senate Bill 51 is the Maryland Pediatric Cancer Fund Establishment and Income Tax Checkoff. This bill, as introduced, would have established the Maryland Pediatric Cancer Fund and then created an income tax checkoff to distribute money to the fund each year. The chair asked me to prepare some amendments, which should be in front of you, that eliminate the income tax checkoff piece of the bill, leave the fund in place, and then also add in a mandate of $5 million, and you've seen this before. Erica had a similar bill where the mandate would require the governor to include $5 million in next year's budget if he doesn't include $5 million in this year's budget for the fund. So the mandate only kicks in '24 if the fund doesn't get funded in '23, and that number would be $5 million.
Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would urge a favorable vote on the bill as amended, or the amendment that takes away the checkbox and the $5 million that's been included. And I'd like to thank members of the committee who spoke to me after the hearing regarding this matter, understanding that how challenging it would be to gain any true funding with the checkbox. Knowing that some of us are in government service, like don't contribute to the charities at the end of the year as we should, but also, you know, just the mere fact that we are now aware that we have not done something. I mean, because I guess if you don't know, you don't know that there's a need to make sure we're providing these resources for families who find out that their child has, you know, this horrible disease. So I could thank the committee for the work and move the amendment.
Okay. So, we have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Would you like to be on the bill?
Absolutely.
Who would like to be on the bill?
The pediatric cancer.
Does anybody not want to be on the bill?
Anybody not on the bill? All right.
Wait, Senator Eckert, do you want to be on the bill or not on the bill? Oh, sorry, you left your hand up.
She's the only healthcare provider in
Such
here. You know she's
enthusiasm.
gonna be on the bill.
You got excessive primary too, man. I think it's kids, man.
I haven't counted.
Yeah. I can't tell you that exactly. But are you talking about funds in general?
Yeah, designating funds.
There's over 100.
100 in the Department of Health.
No, in different ways. I mean, just think about it. The physicians, the nurse, every one of those has a separate fund, right?
Right.
So
That's-
there's a whole host of them that are just because they're organizationally a fund, and there's some that are like this, that are cause funded. I mean, we've got rental housing fund, we've got the blueprint fund. I mean, there's there's about
Thank
at
you.
least 100.
Yeah, I just want to double check that because every one of those funds needs care and feeding and taking care of and
That's right.
administrative cost. And, you know, we get concerned about ongoing maintenance cost of things. Sometimes the funds don't get funded, and then we have to address that. Sometimes they get raided. I'm just making a point. We have a lot of funds, but I'll go on it.
It's true. Okay, so everybody's on the bill,
Yes.
and we passed the bill. All right. Is this, are we gonna do, can we do all the, are you presenting these couple ahead here, these Next, but there are three of them, aren't there? Total, the work group?
On the next page.
That's not, these aren't the one, the work group?
The next two. And then on the next page is the third one.
Which one is that?
346.
They're all Jackson. Weren't you the chair of the work group? You did well. Okay, let's see what we got, let's hear what we got.
Start with Senate Bill 130. This bill alters the subtraction modifications for military and the hometown heroes groups. This is a bill that B&T has passed in the last two sessions. The end result is that it aligns the hometown heroes with the military subtraction modification, giving both a standalone subtraction of 20,000 in addition to what they can claim through the pension subtraction modification under Tax General 10209 when they turn 65. It phases in over 3 years, so in year one, the military for 55 and over subtraction increases from 15 to 20,000. In year two, the hometown heroes, half of the 10209 subtraction moves into a standalone. And then in year three, all of the hometown heroes is a standalone, increased 20,000, and then just the normal pension subtraction when you're 65.
Okay. This is the expansion of hometown heroes,
Correct.
bottom line.
Yes, the mechanics of the bill look weird because of how it's being phased in.
Okay, and then what's the next one?
The next one is Senate Bill 231. This is a pension bill. It deals with moving case management specialists in Department of Juvenile Services into the correctional officers' retirement system. The amendment corrects the bill to reflect the move is applicable to the case managers. These individuals perform similar functions to the parole and probation officers that were moved into corps a few years ago.
Okay, and, I'm sorry, what's the first one cost? 7, something like that?
Fully phased in 7, 8.
And the next one?
I don't have a revised note on the change for the positions. As introduced, it was a different listing of positions.
Okay. And then on the next page?
346, this is another pension bill. As introduced, it would extend the deferred retirement option program for
This is the one that costs less, right?
This actually saves money.
That's a great one, Senator Jackson.
The bill is introduced, extended the state police drop by 2 years for a maximum of 7 years. The amendments also make that same extension by 2 years to 7 years for LEOPS. The bills also have provisions where members that are currently in drop can apply to the system to extend their current period within the eligibility provided by statute.
Okay. Let me remind the committee too that we actually passed some bills earlier on in the session. We did a Bailey bill that was an income tax subtraction modification on police auxiliaries and reserves. Another Jackson bill that was a subtraction modification on volunteer fire, rescue, and emergency medical service. And a Kramer bill that was subtraction modification on state law enforcement officers.
Yeah, those first two were Senate Bill 117 and Senate Bill 122.
And then
I think Matt had the other one.
137.
Yeah, that still needs to go to the floor.
Yeah, well, they're gonna
Correct.
all go together is the
We're gonna
point.
send them all together.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you have a number? Oh, that one's that. Can you find those real quick, the Bailey, 117?
117? So 117 was for the police auxiliaries,
Yeah, I just
That
want a
was
fiscal note on them real quick.
23,000.
23,000?
As introduced, it'll be a little bit more because it's.
Okay, 122?
122, the fiscal note on that one was 1.2 million.
Okay, and then 137?
137 is 225,000, 226,000.
Okay. All right, so, are we ready to vote on the three that we haven't voted on yet? On 130. This is Hometown Heroes, $7 million. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. 231, the correctional officer retirement system. We don't know. I mean, what, you got a guess on that? I mean, how many people did it add? Who was it adding exactly?
It's adding case manager.
Yeah, it can't be that
specialist,
much.
1, 2, or 3, case management specialist supervisor, case management specialist program supervisor, or group life manager, 1 or 2.
Okay. Okay. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? 1. Okay. Senator Young is opposed. And then on the LEOPS one that, or not LEOPS, the deferred comp, the drop bill.
3,
This
Three-
is
346.
346.
as amended.
We have amendment on that one?
Yes, the amendment adds LEOPS.
As Leon's.
And what does that do exactly?
It extends LEOPS drop period from 5 to 7 years also.
And does that add cost or not?
It should result in some savings.
Okay. All right. All's in favor? Opposed? Okay, so what I'd like, whoever's doing this, put those 6 bills on for Friday. The 3 the 3 prior ones, and then the 3 we just voted on today. You got this fluorescent light thing. That fluorescent light thing.
Yeah. We need a sales tax bill.
I know, I got the Simon Air one still.
Yeah, you want to send that before? You put the sales tax fix, I think I can do that off the top of my head. If you want to amend his, I mean, we already voted his, so we
Yeah,
can re-vote it with an amendment.
Yeah. Let's just keep going for now. All right, 274.
Hold.
Hold. Okay. 289.
Senate Bill 289 is the Historic Revitalization Tax Credit Funding and Extension Bill. This bill extends the termination date of the Historic Revitalization Tax Credit Program to 2031. And this is one of our old-style tax credit programs that's an on-budget program and subject to an appropriation to a reserve fund, which then the agency awards tax credits out of. So it tweaks the reserve fund mandated appropriation by increasing, so the program would have terminated fiscal '25. So going forward, in fiscal '25 and '26, the reserve fund would then require an appropriation of $24 million. And then from '27 through 31, these are fiscal years, it'll mandate an award of $36 million.
Okay.
And there's one.
So the base right now is 12 million, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we, in the fence for 23, raised it 10,
To 22, correct.
right? Senator, how do you feel about if we just kept it at 10? We can always adjust over the course of time, but at least this gets 10 more. So it'd be 22 and out until the end.
Okay.
So it's consistent with what we did in the budget. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. All right, we're going to hold all of the ones that are related to, so here's the thing, there are 5 bills, well, 6 bills really, one of which was that bigger one that was mine, the work opportunities one, but that the House came up with for their package of tax cuts. But they had 5 bills that did various things, the diapers and such. We had 3 bills that we have sponsors for over here. 2 of the bills that we don't have, I think we need to hold this just until we get a little more clarity on what everything's happening. So all those bills, I'm gonna suggest we hold until that point.
Which ones?
Well, it starts with the
Senate Bill
the
316.
diapers bill,
Okay,
but then it'll be,
488. Give me just a second. And 751.
which is a great bill, by the way. 7 what?
751. Or, I'm sorry, 571. Reverse those numbers. The sales and use tax for oral hygiene products.
Right,
Exemption.
so, and then there's 2 other ones that we don't have, but we'll just keep rolling along. We're gonna get I mentioned this yesterday, so this doesn't need to be on the list per se anymore, because we're gonna put it into the, the bigger cannabis bill.
which one is that?
I know you'd rather have us do it right this way, but,
As long as it goes.
yeah.
I've had 8
It's a
bills in
subtraction
mine
modification
since I've
for
been here, rolled into
medical
someone
cannabis.
else's bill. I've never had one rolled into mine.
Well, you got a couple more weeks to figure it out, Senator.
It's the way it is.
Right.
Chairman,
Yes,
Senate Bill 506, which is this therapeutic child nursery program.
yeah,
We passed that bill and it looked pretty good, or we've got it on here. The House has added so much stuff to it that what I'd really like to do is pass this bill and go to conference, because
that's fine.
the way the House has got it up, the Laurie Center will lose money, so.
That's fine. 506 was one of our bills from the fence, right?
Yes. I think you're right,
Yes, it was.
yeah.
Yeah, it's $3.7 million. And, yes, that's fine. We can pass it the way it is.
Okay. Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Okay, let's go back up to where we were. Still holding on this fee bill. And the retirement tax.
Hold on. Senator Saul.
Yes,
Not with these amendments? Or just the way
For
it is?
506,
Yeah.
no. We're gonna, no.
three, 3.7. If you look at the fence, you can see the 3 bills that we included in there that were childcare related. It's there was one that was 3.2, one was 3.7, and the other was 2 point something?
Okay, so we're doing the fence package.
2.0. Yes, we're doing the fence package, which I know you all love already. Okay, 507, what's the status of the work group on this? This is one of the work group ones, right?
417 came out of,
What?
417 came out of
Oh, I'm
subcommittee.
sorry. Well, I kept going after the King bill because I had a check there already. Okay, Military health. Yeah, 417, go ahead, I'm sorry.
417, this is a bill that came out of Pension Subcommittee. You have a reprint on your desk. As introduced, it was authorizing 3 entities to be eligible to participate in the state health plan for their active employees, subject to a determination by DBM that it's consistent with federal law. The subcommittee amended the bill to strike Bainbridge from the bill.
All right.
And also add a reporting requirement for DBM, and I need to clarify the amendment, it says Secretary DBM, to require a report by DBM on non-state entities that are participating in the program. And the bill also, the amendments also extend the time period for DBM to make the determination on the entities in the bill from 30 to 60 days.
Okay, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, the pensions subcommittee really put our heads together on this one. I think this strikes the right balance. Our kind of off-the-book determination is when there's an independent state agency that serves the entire state, as MCEC and Marbidco do, that it's appropriate for us to take this action in the bill. But when there's an independent state agency that kind of serves a more local purpose, that we need to take a beat and get a report back from DBM and kind of look at that holistically next session. So we thought this struck the right balance, and I would move the bill favorable with amendments.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. I guess we hold this next one for now.
Yeah, you were holding on the childcare one.
Yep.
Patty is bringing those up, we've got them all straightened out, and we're just bringing them all
She and I
together.
still need to talk, and then. I think they'll be ready for tomorrow,
She is right there.
unless she wants to.
Okay, 507. Now, is this in the work group?
That's in the work group,
And what's the status of that work group?
still working.
Thank you for that report.
Getting close.
I would put it a different way, its work is not quite completed.
That's accurate.
Okay.
We haven't talked about this one for a while. It's been hanging out there for a while. It's the one, it's got, was it $10 million?
Yeah, 10.5.
I just don't know there's enough money to be practical. If it doesn't have the money, is it worth doing?
I think it
I'm
would.
sorry, 516. If it doesn't have the money, what does it do?
If it doesn't have the 10 million,
Correct.
I don't think it does anything.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Favorable.
Center.
I was about to say, I'm not sure I agree with that it doesn't do anything if it doesn't do the money.
Okay.
Because it has a source of money, it's a transportation trust fund, right? Or not?
It's a combination of things. So it's 10 million from transportation trust fund, potentially ground rents, also appropriation.
That's right, it has multiple
So
sources.
It's
That's
10
right.
million from some sort of state funded.
I stand corrected. I think the concept is basically good. When I got with Senator Augustine, because I didn't really understand it, he sees this as small stuff. This is not gonna be a housing project at a transit station. This is gonna be like help getting us closing the deal on a Starbucks at a transit station.
That'd be a big deal.
It would be a big deal. No, it would be a big deal, but it wouldn't be that expensive, is his point. It's not like building,
Right.
multi-million-dollar housing project.
Right.
But the concept, I think, is right. And the fact that he has structured it with multiple potential sources of revenue, I think it would make sense to actually pass it.
What are the sources of revenue? Again, I'm sorry.
Yep. Okay, it can be.
I'm not gonna take more.
No, no.
I don't wanna
I
do
agree,
that.
I agree with
I don't wanna do that. But I wanna hear what the other sources are. It sounds like there are other special funds maybe.
Okay, it could be money appropriated in the state budget to the fund. Money available, it just says for qualifying uses from other governmental sources, including community development block grants and the Transportation Trust Fund. Ground rents or land sale proceeds related to transportation property.
Yeah.
It is a revolving loan fund, so any principal and interest on the repayment. Investment earnings of the fund and any other money from any other source, public or private, accepted for the benefit of the fund.
All right, well, I would be happy to do this without the Transportation Trust Fund money. None of it's designated, I mean, none of it's mandated. Senator,
Well,
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, what is mandated is that as of July 1 of every year, there be a balance of 10 million cobbled together from all those
We'd
sources.
have to change that too, yeah.
So if I could, Mr. Chairman, just trying to understand, I know that the bill also referenced the More Jobs for Marylanders, and it had something with the Transit-Oriented Development Capital Grant Program. Were those additional potential funding sources, or those were just programs that would interact with the potential development project?
Separate from the fund, it extended More Jobs for Maryland by 3 years, but it also made, in terms of the available benefits from More Jobs for Marylanders, you have the Tier 1 status. A couple years ago, you guys added anything in an opportunity zone as a Tier 1 status. This would add things located in a transit-oriented development also is a Tier 1 status. Obviously, More Jobs for Maryland is a set dollar amount, so it would just expand the uses of those benefits.
Does that mean that just more jobs in Maryland would apply to every TOD?
Yes. As a Tier 1 county, which has
Only in the tier one,
well, Tier 1 gets better benefits than Tier 2, so yes,
but,
they would count as a Tier 1 regardless of where they're actually located.
oh,
It would give Tier 1 benefits for Tier 2 if they're in a transit oriented.
I hear you.
Yep.
Okay,
So that's that part of it, but then this other part is with the fund and the revolving loan fund, specific for transit-oriented TOD projects. That's a separate part of the bill. So it does two things.
Senator? Do you have something you want to say? Maybe Senator Quarterman does.
No, I think just to echo some of the things we've heard from our friend from Western Maryland. There's a More Jobs for Maryland, I think we talk about that, and the Tier 1s and the Tier 2s, and we're all supportive of More Jobs for Marylanders. We don't have these opportunities with transit where we are. We're hopeful to have them at some point. Things are going to take away from that, and the trust fund, I know are going to be some
Well,
concerns.
we're not going to do
All
that
right.
part.
So I just think there's still some concerns, I think, in our part of the state. I won't speak for the farther center, the west, but
Senator Griffith?
Yeah, I guess I would ask that we hold this to see if there are portions of the concept that might be of value to the state. I do hear the concerns about the already diminishing and highly controversial Transportation Trust Fund, as well as jurisdictions who may not be able to benefit from provisions in the bill. But I also think as an economic development conversation, which feeds the coffers of the entire state, and looking at least exploring what the bill seeks to accomplish, if maybe not in the most, I don't know, maybe not the best form, but I get where he's trying to get with the bill. So I think it's worth at least seeing if something can be accomplished with the shell of what is presented.
Senator Rosapet?
I was just going to say, as I was thinking about the bill through this discussion, I was actually thinking of the MARC station for a Starbucks in Hagerstown. That's all I was going to say.
How about, Senator Griffith, if you could lead this little band with Senator Rosapap, Senator Quarterman, and Senator Edwards, maybe you can come to some conclusion on this.
I just want to comment that it sounds like it's almost on life support at this point, and it just does not sound like it's ready for prime time. So if it's not, it can come back next year with
No
all
question.
the work done on it.
No question. Take a couple days. If you find the time, find a couple days to do it, go have a soda together and maybe you come up with something.
Just go to the
That's
Starbucks.
right. That's right. That's right. Okay. New work group.
The members of the list overlap substantially with procurement.
All right, 561. I know Senator Rosapep loves this bill, so we got to move this bill.
I move favorable.
Why don't we hear the
Yeah, I
description
hear what
first?
it is.
Let the committee
So
catch
Senate Bill
up.
561 is income tax subtraction modification for employee-owned businesses. We've talked about this a couple times. The idea here is there's some incentives at the federal level to create these employee-owned businesses to basically transfer ownership of your business to your employees. There's some tax consequences. Whenever you transfer an asset like that, you would incur at the federal level capital gains, but it's taxable income at the state level. Here, the state would be giving you a subtraction modification for what would otherwise be taxable gains when you turn your company over to to one of these entities that are an employee-owned entity to control the business. So it's incentivizing someone who may own this business to look at this type of structure for when they go to get rid of that asset, rather than just normally selling it off to somebody else who's gonna presumably take over ownership of the business. So that is the
Senator
idea
Young.
of the bill.
Senator Young?
I heard, but I've forgotten, what's the percentage have to be of the employees' ownership?
Yeah, they do. There's some rules about that.
It tracks the federal rules, and so it's generally, there's 3 or 4 different structures you can go through. It tries to approximate 100%. It takes into account the possibility that it's less than 100%, but the amount of money of your subtraction modification then goes down accordingly. It isn't establishing new rules for the state program. This is all tracking the rules that are in the federal program.
So you're saying it has to be 100%?
In order to get 100% of your income subtracted, there's a diminishing, sort of a step down if you're not.
Who exactly receives that benefit?
The person who transferred ownership of their company, the seller, the business seller.
Sometimes I think you don't know the answer.
It was my
You
bill
always
a
know
couple
the
years
answer. I know,
ago.
you always know the answer.
Don't ask a question, you don't know the answer.
No, I know.
Senator Roosevelt.
No, I was gonna say that, exactly as Matt said, this is set up in federal law, it's been going on for years. This provides a little more incentive in Maryland to do it. I mean, that's essentially what it does by having the state law track the federal law.
Is there a motion?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Senator Roosevelt.
Thank you so much. I look forward to your questions on the floor.
I think we're still waiting on information on the stadium authority, right? No?
I think so.
You certainly can. I guess I should too. Did you get that, Kim?
He has to get the sponsors.
I've got it. We just need to change it, though, to a favorable with amendments, not a favorable.
I felt like we were waiting for some information on the stadium.
You're right. Yep.
Yes? Okay.
We're still waiting?
Yes. Okay, 696.
Secondary, I think Senator Eckert and Senator Roosevelt wanted to look at something.
I did, and I looked at it, and I'm fine.
Okay.
Nursing community, and I have a whole list of concerns.
Oh, goodness.
And part of it was mine. We don't use the term nursing workers. It would be nursing assistant. I mean, and I worked on it and have a whole list of recommendations if we want to move forward.
So,
But it is, and I checked with the department, emailed them as well to see how this would work out, and finally it came back to me, if we want to figure it out for nurses, we can do it just for nurses, because it's only certain types of nurses in certain areas, and the shortage is all across the board. And that was part of, is it just for the department nurses, or is it for all nurses? And, I mean, I have a list of recommendations if you want
So
that.
is
yeah,
that-
so the governor put $2 million for these purposes. We put another $1 million in. So there's $3 million that need to go out in this fashion. If it doesn't have a program, it's gonna be a problem. So is there a way that we can,
I mean, I'd be glad to work on it.
okay, that's great.
I mean, I have no problem, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we want, I mean, you got the
That we-
terminology, you got the
Yep,
background, and certainly.
And I have all the corrections that need to be made if they are willing, if the other committee, since we're just secondary, will accept all that.
Yeah, if you get those to me, we can work with the
I've
AG
got
staff.
them,
Good point.
will do.
So, did you want to speak? Senator McCray, yeah.
Not too much, but I do know that, obviously, we're getting to a point where another committee is also assigned to this and the crossover piece. So I did talk to the Senate sponsor, and she was concerned that it was held up yesterday.
I see. Do you think maybe?
Whatever you all's deference
do-
is.
But do you think you have, I mean, is it all terminology based? I mean, is it something that you can fix on the floor?
I'll send Philip and then we can find out.
I mean, we really do, I mean, to the senator's point, this, I mean, if we don't have a program, and we have $3 million sitting around, it's a problem, yeah.
If the
Sen-
program was just lifted for what happens with the docks, and that's the problem, it was not nursing specific.
Senator Griffith?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, to Senator McCray's point, I wonder if in the interest of time, we could use the MLARC program as the frame to just set up a short-term solution here for this upcoming year, so that the issue is not held up, and then the more nuanced changes that need to happen, because we know the MLARC program was several iterations before it got in its current form. So rather than prevent the nurses from getting these much-needed resources, you know, I'd be happy to try to take the physicians program as a framework and come up with a simplified solution to what is proposed, and then work with Senator Eckert on the more nuanced stuff moving forward, if that's acceptable.
Okay.
that-
Senator Elfreth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just texting with the bill sponsor now, but I spoke with her yesterday, as did Senator McCray, and I know she wants to work out the challenges. And I know we all feel like the clock is ticking, but I do want to, if we're able to give her the respect of working through some of the smaller issues now, and with an eye towards a larger program, it's a priority for all of us. So I'd encourage a little grace.
Senator?
That was by intent. That's why I wanted to get the information, everything I could last night, to be able to bring that back when we got to it and just say, let's put our heads together and work this out. We'll get there.
Senator Roosevelt?
I was just saying the spirit of everything, I mean, I think if Senator Eckert became a worker with Senator Bidel, I think it could be worked out relatively
Right.
quickly.
Right. Okay, I mean, we still have at least, I think, 6 sessions to get through stuff. So, we'll get there. We'll get there. We always got the 2 readings in one day.
But we just don't want to set up something that's not going to be functional.
I agree.
Because we
I
need to be
agree.
able to get the money out of GATE as soon as possible, because there are folks who can use it.
Why don't you and Senator Griffith, and if anybody else wants to jump in, they're certainly welcome to jump in, but
I think Senator McCray should.
I think we should share this one. But you talk to the sponsor, I feel like you should be a sponsor.
She used to be my chair.
Oh, no.
No, that's right. That's right.
all right, so you guys are gonna work it out. Try to get it worked out by tomorrow. Yep, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, we got time. We'll get it. We will get it.
Yes, we can.
7:06.
Senate Bill 706?
Yes.
Senate Bill 706, you have a reprint on your desk. Essentially, what this does is, there's a current formula for funding non-public placement students who can't be served in public schools. The reprint in front of you has some clarifying things. We can start on page 2. First of all, it would require the non-public schools to provide the same salary to the teachers there that is in the public schools. You can see an amendment after line 27, in order to make sure that a public school wouldn't, shift money around in order to afford the higher salaries. It would prohibit the school from reducing expenditures for other components unless it's things like commodities, like electric bills go down or things like that. Paragraph 3 then says that if, given their formula, which is in current law, if that is not enough for these non-public schools to provide these salaries, then the difference needs to be split between the counties and the state in the same way that the general funding formula for these non-public schools is split. So on page 3 of the bill, it also clarifies in paragraph 4 that that difference is going to be paid for by both the state as well as the county governing body, and that the additional funding shall be included in the county's highest local appropriation, which basically says it's included in their maintenance of effort amount year to year. Paragraph 6 has just some clarity as to what the process is, and it has the department kind of determining what the salary is that the non-publics have to provide, any additional funding that needs to be required, as well as the notification of notifying the county governing body of what that additional amount is. And then finally, there's an annual report for it. Right now, the amendment does say it shall be applicable in 22-23. So that is the amendment.
So, is there an annual,
School year 22-23.
is there an annual appropriation?
I mean, it would just be worked into the formulas. So no, not right now. This would cost additional money.
It would be an unfunded mandate for the school system.
So, we put $4 million into the fence.
Yep, the fiscal note estimates about 10 million for the state side, as well as some county costs as well.
Yes.
I totally agree with what's in the bill. I just worry about unfunded mandates for the school systems, not only my own, but for across the state. It gets to be a problem for them, so.
Right. Senator?
I mean, I guess we just have to make a policy choice. We're already paying for them to go to a special, we're already paying for them to go to a non-public special ed school because the school system can't pay, they can't educate them. So the question I have for the committee is, are these children are they less worthy of a good education than your public school students? And should we be able to hire and retain should be able to hire and retain teachers at a salary that is commensurate with the public school teachers, given that they're teaching public school children?
Sure.
Absolutely, and I, yeah, that's a tough question. But I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to see them having to spend more money. And I don't know how it shakes out from the out-of-state placements and that kind of thing. I don't know. But I just don't want to put the school system in the place of having to spend more money. Did they testify on the bill? I mean,
If I can clarify, it's not, the way the bill's structured, the school system isn't paying more, the county governing body makes up the difference.
okay.
Does that mean it doesn't go into MOE?
Well, there's a provision in the bill that would make it go into MOE.
Senator Rosenthal?
Yeah, I apologize, I'm not that familiar with this. So the actual teachers are teachers in these basically contracted schools, that are specialized schools, in-state and out-of-state? They're purely in-state. And those teachers are not members of the union. Is that correct? Or are they members of the union? Well, I don't know.
I don't know if they're members of the union, but the fiscal note talks about a JCR report that was done last year and the differentiation in pay. So because there is such a large difference, I would presume,
That they what, I'm sorry?
They were not.
They're not part of a union if their difference in pay is this significant as the report explained?
Okay, I mean, let me just throw in the thought, I mean, I'm a big believer in collective bargaining, and I think this is a little more complex than just adjusting the wages based on the equivalent. And so, I mean, I kind of think this is worth looking at and thinking about, but probably not worth, not moving forward just with the little piece of the wage level, because, I mean, there are different reasons people work in different school situations and different motivations and different rewards. So that'd be my thought.
Yes.
It's not quite as simple as hiring somebody and keeping them in the state or in the county. And right now, with the shortage of expertise that we have across the state, I don't want to hamstring the school systems. They're trying as hard as they can, and they want to have everybody inside the state, but they don't have the expertise here yet to do that. I mean, they're constantly working to keep people inside the state, because they just know how much it'll save them. Just thought, I'm not trying to shoot down your bill, please, but I just want to be sure that we're not putting not only our own school system, but others that aren't as wealthy as ours in a bad position.
Before we take any more questions, just another quick clarification, Erica. You said $10 million stateside, and what would that, the venture, I mean, is it an equivalent amount on the?
So there's a lot of variables that go into it, and let me pull up the fiscal note. It's a lot of assumptions on what, because you've got the blueprint and all the required teacher salary increases there, and how many teachers need to get that increase. And you've got the minimum, the new minimum of $60,000 salary, and when that goes into effect.
But that doesn't apply to this group.
Well, but this would make it apply because it's requiring the non-public schools to pay the same as county teachers.
What is the differential?
So the report, let me just pull up the fiscal note again. The report that was done in response to JCR in the 2020 session, which looked at the 2018 to 2020 period, looking at different experience levels. The report indicated that average teacher salaries in public schools exceeded those in non-public special education schools by between 7.3% and 25.8%, depending on the education experience level. After accounting for differences in teachers' paid hours and wages in public schools, the difference was between 23% and 40%. So that is what the fiscal note highlighted from that report in terms of the differential is anywhere between 23% and 40%.
So why did they split out that the state was responsible for 10 million? Is that pension related?
It's not, the bill doesn't say that the state has to pay 10. The bill says that whatever the extra is, it needs to be split in the same proportion as the cost already for the
Gotcha.
existing formula for non-public
Okay.
placements.
Okay. Senator Jackson?
I'll defer to Senator Young. His light was on much longer than mine.
Senator Young?
Thanks. Well, I mean, first off, teachers need to be paid similar to other teachers. They're doing the same kind of job, so I support the intent of the bill. But if we could find a way to make sure that these schools could handle all the kids from the state, the savings to a lot of the local school systems would make up for some of this cost. I mean, I know from the Frederick County system, there are some kids that are being sent to Florida because that's where they can handle whatever their problem is.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, the cost of that would probably make up for what they'd have to pay the teachers in Frederick County if we could correct that situation. But somehow I think we need to address that we should be able to handle all the kids from Maryland in Maryland. And the salary should be similar. If you're teaching in the classroom and have the same credentials, you ought to make the same money, which is what I think Senator Zucker's after.
So,
Senator Jackson?
yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, you know, I'm a labor guy, and I just don't get, I think I asked a question during the hearing, you know, if they are teaching and facilitating for public school children, why aren't they under the public school teachers umbrella? And they may be in another facility. So in Prince George's, we have at least one school that's outside of the 27 high school realm. It's one in Bladensburg, where there's a special, these children, for whatever reason, cannot cope in the regular, quote-unquote, regular school environment. And I know this because when I was sheriff, I had my deputies as SROs, and my concern is, I guess, are these private school or private entity employees who are facilitating for public school students?
Yes.
Right. And so how do we get them under the umbrella of the public school system, those teachers, because of the credentials? Having the skill set, and that way they fall under the blueprint and they fall under with everyone else, so.
I think they would, I mean, I think they just have to organize at their site. I mean, they certainly have the right to. They don't, you know, they have the right under, you know, 1935 Act to collectively bargain.
They're not public employees, right?
That's right, yeah. What's that?
So like we're organizing for them through this bill.
Maybe,
I mean, it,
yeah, Senator Elfreth.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just to speak in support of the bill, and thanks Senator Zucker for leading the charge on this. I have one of these very special schools in my district, a Harper School, about 10 minutes away from here, doing just incredible work in taking the students that I have many constituents over the years who've come to me asking, can I help get a placement in that school? Because unfortunately, our Anne Arundel County public schools just cannot provide adequate education. And I think we heard here, and I've heard from many of the educators in those schools, they want to be in those schools. They want to serve that mission, but when they're making $35,000 a year, and they many times have to have master's degrees in this, they are not being able to make ends meet. I can't stress enough, I think this is a solution. We're talking kind of chicken or egg. If we do this, we need more schools, we need more ability to support students. I don't think we're gonna ever have meaningfully more schools built and more educators teach if we're not proactively supporting this model of education that we sorely need in the state. So I'm very happy to support the bill.
Okay, yeah.
I support the bill. I am just really, really concerned about the manpower. I mean, every educator that I talk to in my own county, and I've talked to quite a few in the rest of the state, we don't have the capabilities of, we don't have the people to hire to handle the volume of the special education needs that we have. I think it's a noble goal. It's been the goal of all of our school systems forever to keep everybody in the school system, or in the state, but we're not close to having the number of people that can teach these children, and so I don't know where we go with this.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I hear Senator King. I just think we're kind of passing in the night right now, because what we're saying is regardless if we hire 1 million special education teachers in public schools, the public schools are unable to teach these children.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay. Okay, got it. So ultimately, ultimately, right now, the way it works, as you've heard, is that the public schools are not able to educate the kids, and as a result, the public schools are paying for the kids to get an education in another school, and they're already splitting it with the county. So it's not the school system, it's the county government. So this just follows that pattern.
Okay. And I absolutely agree with you. I'm just saying, especially with the number of people that have, through this whole pandemic, have left the field because it's a tough job. The school system is having a very, very hard time trying to hire special education teachers and teachers in general. So I just don't wanna tie anybody's hands, that's all.
So I have a couple of schools like this, one in my district, another one in Howard County, and I've been helping them with bond bills over the years, because they do great work. Matter of fact, we created a culinary project in one of the schools, that we basically outfitted them with a brand new kitchen and everything. They do great stuff. I'm just having, the part that I'm having trouble with is just trying to figure out the money and how it's actually going to accomplish the goals. And I guess there's an element of uncertainty, I think, in the money, and whether the $10 million is enough, whether it's, just trying to.
Just hold this for a day.
Huh?
Could we just hold this for a day so that we can just ask some people?
Sure, everybody can take a hold for a day, absolutely. Do you have a question?
No, I'll support the hold and try to get answer. I was just hearing Mako's testimony and just trying to reconcile what is clearly a great need, but trying to reconcile an unfunded mandate basically to our locals while they're already trying to figure out how to pay their share of the blueprint and teacher pension cost, and there's just so many needs that I don't know how to reconcile this and how to take care of the need without feeling like there's a comprehensive approach to hiring the teachers and making sure they have comparable benefits might be the next conversation. And I just guess I'm trying to figure out how to meet the need without putting an unfunded mandate on the local jurisdictions.
I get it's sort of a partially funded mandate, right? I mean, $10 million is not nothing, but I still don't know what $10 million gets us. Do we have, was there information in the fiscal note about how many of the employees there are across the state in these facilities?
No, it looks like what they did is they based it on, no, there's no specific numbers. They're relying on kind of what proportion of total operating cost is related to salaries and basing that as their, but there's no numbers.
I mean, I gotta believe that Manseth knows this, right? Like how many teachers there are. The organization, I'm sure, has some knowledge of that. Yeah, I'm mostly interested in getting the right number personally. I know everybody's got their own little twists on this, but I'd like to get the right number, at least understand the right number. And the right number might require us to sort of ramp it up over a couple of years.
My preliminary discussions with the note writer in terms of the impact of these amendments is that we won't be able to estimate it.
Well, I'm sure I can see Senator Zucker already working on it. He's maybe he can get the answer from the organization.
There's 1,500. Roughly,
1,500 employees.
yeah. Teacher, but that includes thank you. Yeah, right now, and I can get clarification, but this is official testimony that our member schools employ over 1,500 teachers, clinicians, and administrators.
Then to come up.
And they serve over close to 4,000 students who are unable to be educated in public schools. They serve them in these non-public special ed schools.
So then if you want to use that and calculate a cost of this bill, we would then need the differential in salaries for those 1,400.
Sounds like we may have to estimate that too, so, yeah, I get it. Yep. I think it's worth doing a little more work. All right, that's it for tonight. What's that? That's right.
Don't put your stuff away.
Don't put your stuff away?
Not your reprint.
Leave our piles on the desk.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know what you still need and what you don't. Leave them there.
I can't lift the pile on my desk, so. All right, see you guys on the floor.